talking earlier, Dr. Joe, about your own threshold. That you have so many, and just knowing you've as short a time as I have, you've got so many balls in the air, so to speak, and things that you're doing that you suspect your Zeigarnik effect. That's what it's called, the Zeigarnik effect. That your threshold is high, so it takes a lot for you. You can handle it. And others might not, and it has a lot to do with how you were raised and your expectations. And so,
would OCD be the polar opposite of someone who can handle it?
Yeah, I believe under this theory that someone with obsessive compulsive, like, I need to go down and check the stove. Like, that's one of the examples I give, is that if you wanted to feel this effect vividly, is if you're happen to be listening to this on a podcast or whatever, and you're near, I know you guys have a kitchen here at the studio, so if you went to the kitchen, turned on the flame and the stove, turned on the water, and then came back, you could do that. But you would have this gnawing feeling that something's not finished.
Right.
Yeah.
And so if you go downstairs to check, did I lock the door? And then you go back and you have to go back and check again, did I lock the door?
Right.
Or if you're looking that things have to be just so and lined up, is that also part of the pathology of OCD? And lo and behold, Paxil and other medications are used, and what are called these selective serotonin reuptake, SSRIs. It's a fancy name for a lot of the medications that are used, and lo and behold, they're used for that as well.
So what are they doing to the biological domain at that point? Then they're triggering what? That, like, to relax. You can let this task go.
Well, it's interesting. It's increasing the availability of a neurochemical called serotonin, which we know is associated both with depression and anxiety.
So lack of creates depression?
Yes.
Got it.
So the serotonin reuptake inhibitor, imagine that you are a brain cell and I'm a brain cell, and in between us is this little cleft, this little gap called a synapse, and I hand you a piece of candy, and you take it, and everyone's happy. And I hand you another piece of candy, and you take it, and everyone's happy. But I'm starting to run out of candy, right? You're doing fine, but I'm running out. So I go to give you the candy, and I thought, I really can't do it, and I take it back, right? So your hand would go out to take the candy, but there's no candy to take. So after a while, you're not even going to bother putting your hand out. So the hand is the neurotransmitter receptor. It is the place, like the chair, where that serotonin is going to go fit in and make that cell happy. But I need it too, so I take it back. Now everyone is getting a little sad because why don't I have enough serotonin? Because I'm not making as much, so I got to hold on to mine.
Got it.
And yours is now getting less and less. And then along comes Paxil, Prozac, Zoloft, Celexa, these serotonin reuptake inhibitors. And it basically would stop my hand from taking back my piece of candy.
Well, because it's continuing to push new supply.
That's right. So I'm pushing it out, but I can't take it back anymore because of the Prozac. It's a reuptake inhibitor. I can't reuptake. I can't take it back. Right? So I'm thinking, whoa, I am running out of Prozac. I'm running out of my candy, out of my serotonin. So I shout to my neural cell, to my cell body, and I say, hey, I'm running out of serotonin. And my nucleus shouts, okay, I'll start making some more, because that's where the factory is. I'll make it. It's going to take a couple of weeks to get it up to you, though, so just hold on. And on the other side, your cell, Mark, right, all of a sudden there's all this serotonin out there, but you don't have the receptors to take it. You've taken all those back because it cost you money to make all those chairs for the serotonin. So you shout to your nucleus, hey, guess what? There's all this serotonin here. I need some more of those receptors. And your nucleus goes, okay, I'll send it up to you, but it's going to take a few weeks to make it. And that's why these medicines can take 4 weeks to work.
Right.
Because you got to rekindle all of this action. That's a reuptake inhibitor. And basically that's how most medicines work. They either stop the reuptake of serotonin or dopamine or norepinephrine, a couple of other things. But that's psychopharmacology 101. That's how these things work. So, yes, when your biological domain is being depleted of those things, it's just the way the cells work. It's their IM. And then you add in a medicine. No one's broken.
Right.
All you've done is change the environment of that cell so it can't take the serotonin back. It's not broken. It's just not making the serotonin. That's its IM. You change the environment, you change the response. And then what happens is a person starts to feel less depressed, and they can do different things at home, in the social domain. Their IC changes. They start to feel better. They start to see themselves better. Other people see them as more productive. So that small change can have a big effect. That's how I prescribe
that requires
medicine.
2 forms of medication, one to create the serotonin and then one to continue to grab it, or is
No,
it all one medication?
It's all one medicine.
Got it.
So
it's a serotonin inhibitor.
Reuptake inhibitor.
Reuptake
Right. So the
inhibitor.
first cell that's making the serotonin, called the presynaptic neuron,
Yeah.
that gap is called the synapse. So the presynaptic neuron gets blocked, taking it back up. The postsynaptic neuron has to make more receptor sites. Everybody's happy. That's how they work.
So why would someone suffer in depression if there was the medication to make that small change?
Well, that's another good question. Tom, you want to take a shot at that one?
There's a lot more to it than
Yeah.
just the pharmacology. There's your genetics and how your environment and how you were raised, and it has a huge effect. We were talking earlier today about the critical periods in your development where you better get this right, and you better have, like, there's a psychologist, a neo-Freudian, they're called Eric Erickson, and he has different stages of development, and the very first one is trust versus mistrust.
Right.
And you have to get that through that. If you have, we were looking at some experimental stuff today, Dr. Joe and I, where there was a deliberate experiment where the mother was not interacting in a reciprocal way with her child, just as her baby. It
was a
like
baby. Baby,
and
4 months old.
the meltdown, the physiological meltdown that this poor kid had, it was just it's called the still face paradigm, where the mother, instead of having this reciprocity of back and forth and making eye contact, suddenly stops. And the baby just really, you describe, it was just astonishing. It's been
How'd
replicated.
you get a mom to do that?
Well,
it's
this is an experimental.
I know, must have been
setting.
challenging.
brief
Yes,
experiment.
absolutely. And I was saying that mom must have been an incredible
Brave,
actress
right.
and be able to do that,
Right.
because she is.
Or a doctor who
She's
really
getting
understood it.
all. She's got to be internally getting distressed.
Right.
I mean, imagine a baby going, "Oh, mom," and the mom is going, "Yeah," and then all of a sudden, she turns away for a moment, turns back, and there's no response. And the baby begins doing more and more escalation to get her attention,
to get her
to
attention
change. Can you do this? Why isn't this working? And eventually getting so distressed and shutting down. And then the mom goes, it's okay. And immediately,
Thank goodness.
right, the baby comes back. So,
Hopefully that didn't do damage
well,
forever and ever.
who knows, right? And so,
That is the prank of a lifetime.
that's the prank of a lifetime.